Like Purdue, it's just an example. Purdue losing to Fresno State is okay. We still win the Big Ten West. But me,
Billy Napier gets fired. I'm just kidding.
hey, really the best time of the year. I will be seated watching the Red Zone for 7 hours on Sunday. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode of Backyard Banter. Whole gang's back. Tanner's back. Male's back behind the camera. James. Alright, I'm Johnny. That's James. My bad. Before we start anything, subscribe if you haven't yet. Again, keep helping us grow. Maybe the biggest pod of the year so far. National Championship. Michigan 34. Washington 13. Tanner, you're freshly back. Initial thoughts of the game.
Yeah, I thought coming in that the storyline was going to be Michigan's NFL run game versus Washington's NFL passing game, and Michael Penix just was not on like he had been all year. When Washington was able to get stops, they could not score the ball on offense, and I thought that was a killer for them. They had about 2 or 3, really a little more than 2 quarters of the game, a little over half the game. They were absolutely stuffing Michigan's run game, and they just couldn't capitalize. They couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Penix missed a big 4th and 8 throw to Dunze. So I was frustrated in that. I was pulling for Washington, but credit to Michigan. They were beefier up front, and they were tougher up front, and they got it done up front. And ultimately, that's where they won the game.
Yeah, 100%. And Johnny said it perfectly. I mean, we kind of had an agreement. So we were both in on Michigan. We knew Tanner was going to be on Washington, so someone had to be 2-1 or whatever. But Johnny said it right. Their ability to run the game was perfect. They ran for more yards than Washington had total offense. So when you put that stat together, again, the score doesn't look, in my opinion, the score looks like it was a blowout. That was kind of like a late.
It was a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter.
100%. So the last 7 minutes, obviously the pick there on the 4th and 12 or whatever, Penix is obviously just going to throw the ball and see what happens. But Penix, 27 for 51, 255 yards, just wasn't great. It wasn't good. I think give credit to Michigan. I think they disrupted a ton. I think they were constantly getting pressure, but Penix just didn't look like the guy that had been making all those throws. So it sucks when maybe both teams aren't on their A game, but at the same time, hey, watch those Wolverines, man. They were nasty, and shout out to Jim Harbaugh and all them. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that college football is over, and like James said, the final score doesn't really indicate how good of a game it was, and so I'm not normally one to boast, but yeah, like James said, I was 100% right. So all the people in the TikTok comments calling us frauds and all that stuff. But
they put the clip now where I predicted Michigan to win the Natty.
He did predict in the preseason Michigan to win the national championship,
and then Michigan beats Texas, and Michigan wins the Natty.
I hope so for them, man.
Because they're a team that just has a roster that can win, right?
Anyway, I said that Michigan was going to dominate and Blake Corum was going to have 120 plus yards.
Yep.
Blake Corum, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. First 2 touchdowns came from Donovan Edwards, who hasn't scored since November 11th, almost 2 months.
And he called it. Tanner called it.
And when you said that for 2 quarters Washington completely stopped the run, which they did, but Michigan still ran for 8 yards a carry, which just proved how dominant the run game was in the first half.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy did just enough. Again, you don't have to do much when you run for 303 yards, but he should have had a better stat line. His receivers dropped the ball multiple times. Mm-hmm. But again, Penix, in a big deal, I said that Will Johnson was going to help limit the Washington passing game. Will Johnson had a pick. Dunze was under 100. Polk and McMillan both under 50 yards. Yeah. Obviously, it wasn't Dunze. It was the entire Michigan secondary as a whole, which really stepped up the entire playoff. But if you just look at the box score, you're seeing Michigan, they only have 1 sack. Michigan's defensive line completely dominated the game.
Yep.
Stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. They hit the bomb to Dunze on the 3rd down, down 7. The holding call was a holding, was not. Regardless, it happened because of Michigan's pass rush. Penix was hobbled after the game, could barely walk off the field because Michigan just kept hitting him, hit after hit after hit. I mean, it felt like every single time he was rushed and felt like he was getting pressure on him. But, shout out to Washington, shout out to their head coach, DeBoer. In year 2, getting to the Natty, obviously they moved to the Big Ten this year. We'll have a rematch of this game in the regular season.
And their stock just going up, right? With them joining the Big Ten, it's just going to get better for them.
Yeah, they got Will Rogers coming in, a transfer quarterback. But, it doesn't really matter what happens with Michigan now. They will always have this national championship.
Yeah.
Their team could look completely different next year. Harbaugh could be gone. We don't know all the rumors, but
Yeah.
I mean, this was kind of like their last dance, and man, they capped it off. Best team throughout the entire year.
Well, is this the Big Ten's year in college sports 2024? So
Purdue wins.
already got the football one. Let's see, got some other sports down the road.
Definitely not going to be Purdue out of the Big Ten doing the Natty, but it could be some.
We'll see, but yeah, so that kind of puts on wrap for college football. We'll have more discussions about the offseason on changes that we think college football needs to make, whether it's with NIL, the transfer portal, recruiting in general, whether there needs to be a general head of college football. We'll get into that more as the offseason goes along, but kind of downplayed for the NFL never really gets downplayed, but NFL playoffs start this weekend. Week 18 was disappointing for some teams and very good for other teams. Obviously, the Bears lost to the Packers again. Was that the 10th straight time? Jeez. It's 5 straight seasons losing the Packers every time. Justin Fields was bottom 5 in a lot of passing categories. I know his play calling didn't help him a lot, but 2 weeks ago it didn't look like they had a decision to make at number 1. Now it looks like they do. We'll see what they do with Matt Eberflus and what goes on. But yeah, kind of your guys' last Bears rant of the year until the draft.
There's no rant. I mean, I told Tanner, I said I had some stuff to say in the pod. You know, of course it didn't make it to the pod. I told him it before we film it now. I said, you know, he was the 3rd best quarterback in our division. He thinks our division's really good. I think our division's very mediocre. I think our division's not going to have a team that, maybe I'm foreshadowing what I'm going to predict, but I don't have any team in our division making it to the second weekend of the NFL playoffs. And so I just think, you know, with Kirk Cousins that went out early in the season for the Vikings, if Kirk Cousins stays healthy, give Justin Fields 17 games too. Justin Fields is the worst quarterback in that division. And when you're sitting there and you have the number 1 pick and you have Caleb Williams, who when I was rewatching the podcast about us predicting the national championship, because I was trying to find the clip, Tanner was super high in USC. Because he knew what generational talent Caleb Williams was. And at the end of the day, the painting nails, the crying, and all of that is 100% a big deal for some fans. But as an organization, Caleb Williams is a Patrick Mahomes possibly of this draft. And I don't know what I want the Bears to do. I don't know for sure. I don't know if Caleb Williams is the answer. I don't know if Justin Fields is the answer. I can tell you Luke Getsy and Matt Eberflus are not the answer. I think Tanner and I can agree on that to an extent.
It looks like they're staying.
But that's the issue, right? That's the issue. The fact that they're not fired, Tanner might talk about it a little bit. Maybe they're waiting to see what Jim Harbaugh decides to do and all of that. But the Bears just have a lot of question marks because when you have 2 picks in the top 10, you gotta figure out. There's one question to be answered: is Justin Fields going to be the starting quarterback next year? And I don't know. I don't know if they know the answer to that. But very disappointed because I'm just tired of watching mediocre football play. And again, I think a lot of it is play calling. But Justin Fields wasn't great, and he was not good in the biggest game of his career.
I'm first and foremost, I'm sick and tired of losing to the Packers. That's the opening statement. I think a lot of people can agree with that. That needs to change, and if it doesn't change next year, then I don't know. But Justin Fields, I'm not gonna get on him too much for that game because the Bears ran the ball for 3 yards per carry and just refused to throw the ball. I mean, Justin Fields threw 16 passes. He had a passer rating of just south of 100. I think it was at 98 or 99. So on paper, Justin Fields, in the opportunities he had, did not have a bad game. I think I watched every single drop back he had from that game, and people say they want to see him step into the pocket. He had no pocket on Sunday. If he were to step into the pocket, it was a sack. Mm-hmm. The interior of the Bears' offensive line got absolutely destroyed to the point to where Justin Fields did not even have a chance to get through a drop back and step into the pocket and make a throw. I was very disappointed in that. Very disappointed in play calling. You can't run the ball for 3 yards per carry and just come out every first and second down and continue to run the ball. It's just not going to work. Very similar game plan to week 1. So I do not discredit Justin Fields. I do not blame the loss on him. I thought there were so many factors going against him on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's been like that for a large portion of his Bears career. It's been a tough situation for him. Yeah. So with that being said, I think my opinion on the situation stays the same. I think Fields is the guy. We got to continue to build this roster because if they stick with Fields, the capital they have, you can build that roster to an elite NFL roster within 2 years. So
100%. But do you have an elite quarterback? That's the question.
Yeah, we'll see. Biggest offseason in the history for the Bears, and at least in recent memory. But another note, Justin Fields is due to get paid, whether it's a fifth-year option and then his extension coming up. Another thing is you get that off eventually, and you get a new cheap deal for 4 years and build it that way. But we'll see. We'll have plenty of offseason to talk about that. The Bucs won the division in the most uninspiring performance ever against Carolina. Antoine Winfield, by the way, might be one of the best secondary players in the NFL, not just best safety. The fact he got snubbed from the Pro Bowl should literally be a crime. What he did is the amount of times he just saved the team is at least 4 or 5 times. DJ Chark was running down the sideline, a great ball from Bryce Young. As he's diving for the end zone, Winfield punches out of bounds. Jamal Dean recovers. Bucs ball, really never in doubt the rest of the game. It's just what he's been doing all year. 122 tackles, leads the team in picks, leads the team in forced fumbles, leads the team in fumble recoveries. Second on the team in sacks as a DB. He has 6 of them, or tied for second. Just a monster year out of him. We'll see. Baker looked pretty hobbled after the game. Hopefully he's good for the playoff game. But yeah, I mean, speaking of the playoffs, it's here. So how we're going to do it, we're going to go down, we're going to pick every game. There's 3 of us, so whatever team gets 2 votes or more will advance into the next weekend. And we're going to go by order of when the games are being played. So the first game is the Saturday.
We're probably going to be wrong.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. We're kind of on a hot streak.
Ooh, that's true. That's true.
So the first game is going to be played Browns at Texans. The annual AFC South being the opening game on Saturday at 4:30. But yeah, Tanner, we'll start with you. Browns or Texans?
Man, I hate that you're starting with me because this is the toughest game in my opinion to pick.
It is.
I love the Texans. I love C.J. Stroud, but the story of Joe Flacco is just it's amazing to me, and I want to keep watching it. So I think both teams are pretty even. It is at Houston, but I think C.J. Stroud's got a lot of football left in him after this year. So therefore, I'm going with the Browns. I want to see Joe Flacco make a run. I'm all for it. I'm all over the Joe Flacco train.
Yeah,
so.
I'm the exact same way. I think C.J. Stroud is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the next 3 years, and he's already making a case for one of the most dominant right now in terms of the passing game. But I just think the story of Joe Flacco is it's got my heart beating. I'm so happy. It's so great. So what is he? 38 years old?
36.
Okay, 38. Same around the same thing. He's old, right? In the NFL, he's old. Amari Cooper. Tanner said it a long time ago. Is a wide receiver 1, and he's looking like it right now for the Browns. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough game, but I like the Browns.
I like the Texans. First, briefly, we'll talk about how they got here. The Jaguars were 8-3, had a 98% chance to make the playoffs. They lost Trevor Lawrence, also like question marks, went from being James, the top 3 quarterback in the NFL, to having a prove-it year next year, really. But yeah, he missed multiple throws. I know he was dealing with injuries, but that's how the Texans kind of got the 4 seed. And I'm rolling with the Texans. I'm a huge believer in DeMeco Ryan, what he did with the 49ers before that. I just love the energy and culture that he brings. I know the Browns' defense is nasty. Myles Garrett, in my opinion, is the best defensive player in the league, just his sheer mass. Denzel Ward on the outside, but I just like C.J. Stroud. I mean, I'm going to roll with special. And Joe Flacco used to be special one season in the magical Super Bowl run, but he's not anymore. He is playing with nothing to lose, but I'm going to go with C.J. Stroud and the Texans, but the group's going with the Browns. The next game, Dolphins at Chiefs. Dolphins, that Monday night loss to the Titans will go down as one of the worst losses in regular season history for the Dolphins. Up 14, and they blew a 3-game lead to the division in 5 games. They're really on the downhill, and their reward for losing just a heartbreaker against the Bills, going to Arrowhead and playing Patrick Mahomes, the reigning Super Bowl champion, the Chiefs. James, who do you have?
I don't know. I know who I have on paper, but it was hard for me because I have been a huge hater for both these teams, honestly, especially as of late. I think the Dolphins' defense is bad, and they've been riddled with injury as well. On top of that, they were bad before, and then they lost, Cooper or Chubb, and then another guy,
Jordan Phillips.
Yeah, so just huge losses, right? And when you have a defense that's not doing great in general, and you lose your 2 best guys, it's tough. But at the same time, the Chiefs, They've been struggling on offense. Their defense has been playing pretty good. I would say it's keeping them in games 100% because Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce do not have that same connection. Granted, the Chiefs have one of the worst offenses on paper in terms of weapons out there. But at the same time, they were bad last year too. Like their offense last year on paper was not great. They had Juju Smith-Schuster and Travis Kelce, right? But that was when Travis Kelce he's still very elite and still the best tight end in football. But they were just different last year. You can see it. The arguing on the sideline, the temper tantrums on the sideline, the blaming each other on the sideline. It's not. I don't like to watch it. I hate to watch guys like that complain. But at the same time, the Chiefs are still the team to beat in the AFC. I mean, they're the Super Bowl reigning champions. They still have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and coached by Andy Reid. So I like the Chiefs in this matchup, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miami came up on top.
Yeah. I agree with you, James. I'm taking the Chiefs, but it's mainly because of the weather, honestly. It's supposed to be like a high of like 4 degrees.
Yeah.
Cold.
And
we got a cold front coming through, trust me. We know it here. It's blizzard conditions up where we are.
Yeah.
And the high is -1 on Monday.
Yeah.
Give it.
So I'm riding with the Chiefs. I trust their defense more in this type of environment, weather-wise, than the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Chiefs still have a good defensive front. They have some good players in their secondary.
Yeah.
And then on offense, I know Kelce hasn't played up to his typical standard this year, but if you take a look at the last month and a half, Rashee Rice is an elite NFL wide receiver, and I think he sticks on that trend. I'm not gonna bet. I'm never gonna pick against the Chiefs at home in the playoffs and Patrick Mahomes. So I am gonna take the Chiefs to beat the Dolphins.
I mean, everything going against the Dolphins. Cold weather, lose their best two of their 3 best defensive players. They've lost 3 of 5, 4 or 5, whatever number is 3 or 5.
Banged up on offense.
Banged up everywhere. And for some reason, something's in me. I think the Dolphins are going to go in Arrowhead and win.
Man, I hope you're right.
Part of me picked this because you guys already picked the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That's why I want you two to go first. I just think somehow, some way, Tua and Tyreek are going to connect. L'Jarius Sneed is probably one of the most underrated players in the NFL. His stats, like advanced stats as a cornerback, are stupid good.
Yeah.
If the Dolphins get Mostert and Waddle back, I think they can be really dangerous because on the outside of Sneed, the Chiefs don't really have that kind of grade A corner. Again, the weather is going to be an issue, but if they get Mostert back, they'll be able to run the ball pretty effectively. But we'll see. I'm picking the Dolphins, maybe a little Florida bias, but I'll tell you what, going from Miami to 4 degrees, it's going to be just a shell shock for the Dolphins. But yes, I do have the Dolphins, but the group has the Chiefs. Moving on. And then next game, Steelers at Bills. The Bills came from missing the playoffs, and Tanner was almost right, to being the 2 seed all of a sudden. Just a crazy turn of events there. Steelers, it feels like 3 of the past 4 years they've made the playoffs as 7th seed just to get obliterated by whoever wins has the higher seed. I actually went back. I picked the Bills in the preseason to win the Super Bowl, and I did that because I knew Josh Allen was special, and his interceptions are so bad, and I'm pretty sure he's leading the lead in them. But God, when you need a play,
I think he has 18 picks. Or something
that's
like
really
that.
bad. That's one a game, more than one a game.
Yeah.
When you need a play, was it 4th and 2? He broke 2 tackles and then dove for the first down to essentially ice the game. Anyway, a quick pick here. The Bills are going to win. The Steelers, Mason Rudolph is not going to win a playoff game. I just can't see it.
Bills.
Yeah, this one's pretty...
These are your Steelers, though.
Yeah, I know. This is pretty easy for me. I just would like to say shout out to the Steelers. I had them making playoffs before the season. I don't think a lot of people did. So shout out to them. They found a way. But it ends here. I think that the score is going to look a lot closer than the actual game. I think the Bills dominate this game, but the Steelers are such an ugly football team that they somehow keep it a respectable score.
TJ Watt is out. Came out today. He's out.
Yep.
So, we'll see. Packers at Cowboys. The helmet game of the weekend. It's in the perfect kind of primetime slot. Jordan Love, second in the league in touchdown passes behind Dak Prescott. He's really emerged, and I've seen all these memes and stuff that he went to Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre camp over the bye week. But, he's been really good. They're young and they're fun to watch. The receivers, Jaden Reed, really good. Their defense is, you guys saw it firsthand. Their defense line can get after it. With that being said, I think the Cowboys win fairly comfortably. It's hard to be a young team and go on the road where the Cowboys haven't lost in probably 16, 17 straight games at home.
Yeah, I think it's up to them.
They should have lost the Lions, but they didn't in the stat sheet. I got the Cowboys. Dak CeeDee Lamb too much.
I'm going to take the Cowboys. I think CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now at this moment. I think Dak Prescott, you can make an argument, is the best quarterback in the NFL at this moment.
Be a really
And
tough argument.
You can make an argument that the Cowboys' defense is the best defense in football right now. I'm picking the Cowboys. I think the Packers are going to go in there and play well. I think it's going to be close. I'm nervous as a Bears fan because I do not want the Packers to make a run. And I could see the Packers going in there and just ending the Cowboys season in a disappointing way. Yet again,
Cowboys thing. Yeah.
you know, Cowboys do that, but I think this Cowboys team's different. I believe it.
Yeah.
So I have the Cowboys on paper winning, but I'm not going to pick them right now. I'm going to pick the Packers because I'm always wrong. And just so I can make sure that the Packers don't win this game on Sunday, I'm going to pick them. But like Tanner said, this team is good enough and young enough and scrappy enough to win this football game. Like, Jordan Love has so much confidence. I said it earlier on a previous episode. This guy was going to go out there with absolutely nothing to lose, and that's what he's done. He's gone out there and he's looked confident. I know he hated Tony Romo talking about the whole looking like Favre when he throws it. He does. He's got the same kind of movements with his legs and everything. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But you got to respect how he played this year. Over 4,000 yards passing.
32 touchdowns.
Pretty incredible. Good. So I'm going to pick the Packers. Just because I'm usually wrong in these
things.
So.
Rams, Lions, really a big game. Matt Stafford goes back home for the first time, I'm pretty sure.
I think that's right.
Going to Detroit, and what an atmosphere it's going to be. Detroit's first home playoff game in 30 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be rocking. I'm picking Detroit. This one's really close. I'm picking Detroit because this is the one game where I think home field advantage is really going to show out. The Rams have to travel cross country. Aaron Donald is still one of the best players in the game. But I think Jared Goff and Amon St. Brown can pick on that secondary a little bit. And I think that the Lions just have so many pieces. 2 good running backs, 2 good receivers. We'll see what Laporta's status is. But I just think they're a little bit too much, and I think they'll win a shootout against the Rams.
Yeah. The fact that Laporta is questionable, by the way, after that gruesome injury is incredible. So, obviously, thank God that it's not as bad as it looked. But I have the Rams winning this game. I don't have any team in our division. I guess I just picked the Packers, but I don't have any team in our division winning a game. The Lions, to me, have been fraudulent ever since they got super hot. I think they were 8-2 at one point, and at that point they kind of hit a lull for me. Then they almost lost to the Bears. Then they did lose to the Bears. Obviously, we watched 17 weeks of the Bears, so we know how bad they are. I just think this Rams team had a lot of question marks. Shout out to Jackson. He was talking about Matthew Stafford all year. He's a Pro Bowler, right? He's a Pro Bowler, and Matthew Stafford's played very well. Obviously, Puka Nacua has been unreal. Best rookie numbers by a wide receiver. And I just think this team has enough on offense, and they're good enough on defense to stop this elite Lions offense, because Jared Goff has looked great as well. But I think it's a duel, like you said. But I like the Rams.
The Detroit Lions fan base has gone through absolute misery for 30 years, right? Mm-hmm. And the peak of the misery was Matthew Stafford. Mm-hmm. It was watching Matthew Stafford play football. And they had some good teams that missed out on the playoffs. They had some really bad teams that Matthew Stafford somehow made at least watchable.
Yep.
So Matthew Stafford leaves, wins a Super Bowl. Gets even worse for Lions fans. You ship him off, he wins a Super Bowl. Now, you win the division. First time winning the NFC North, the Lions, in 30 years.
No, since its existence.
Since its existence, I guess.
The NFC North came into form in 02-03.
Right,
so
yeah. So, peak happiness for Lions fans right now at this moment, just for it to get shot down by Matthew Stafford.
All right.
I think the Rams win this game.
Full circle moment.
Sean McVay, every year he's been in the playoffs with the Rams, they've found a way to win at least a game. I don't see that ending here. The Rams have Aaron Donald on defense. Jared Goff has struggled all year with pressure. Aaron Donald's going to be in that backfield. And the Rams have a big 4 on offense. I guess if you want to throw Higbee in there, it's a big 5. But Rams' offense is really good.
But, man, that place is going to be rocking.
It is going to be rocking.
Yeah, it's going to be a great atmosphere.
I think the Rams win.
Eagles, Bucks. My team, the Bucks. The Eagles have probably looked the worst team in football, honestly, the last 2 weeks. Well, besides the Panthers. Panthers didn't score a point in the final 2 weeks. But the Eagles are really bad, losing to the Cardinals and then getting blown out by the Giants. We do not know the status of A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts dislocated his finger. It looked nasty. all that being said, my beloved Bucks. I said before when we kind of updated our predictions, midseason who's gonna make the playoffs. I said the Bucks will because they had a manageable schedule, and there's no way Desmond Ritter's gonna be in the playoffs. With that being said, I think the Eagles are gonna come out and win because I don't know. It just feels like maybe they wanted to play the Bucks, kind of lose that. You never want to lose a division, but when you see that the Cowboys are playing the Commanders, it's kind of a winnable game. Kind of drop down to more of a favorable matchup. But we'll see. I think the Eagles win because I still just think they're going to turn on the other level when it gets to the playoffs. But real questions about Nick Sirianni as a head coach. Real questions about Jalen Hurts as a quarterback that I've brought up multiple times. Very early in I don't believe he's a top 3 to 5 quarterback. But with all that being said, Baker Mayfield banged up. I still don't think the Bucs will be able to run the ball on the Eagles' defensive front. So that's why I think the Eagles, I don't have them going far, but I have them at least making out the first weekend.
Yeah, this Eagles team has not played, in the second half especially, up to the caliber of players that they've played in the NFL and before that. So this team's going to turn it on. This is a team that can make a playoff run. This is not a team that can just get by week 1 in the playoffs and maybe, show out in the second. This team could win the NFC because of the amount of talent on both sides of the ball. But they've been banged up on offense, especially, right? A.J. Brown has not
Devontae Smith didn't play last week.
It's been, and like you said, Jalen Hurts dislocated his finger last week. They need to get the run game involved more, in my opinion, especially against the Bucs. I just think they're gonna have to try something different. But this Bucs-Eagles line, I think is at 3. That's weird because Eagles are 100% the better team, but Vegas knows that they're so banged up. Yeah. But I think this defense, who has not played very well this year, is going to come out and play Eagles playoff football, and I think Eagles are going to win by 10+.
Even before your picks, I had the Bucs winning this game. I just think the Bucs are a little bit healthier. I think the Eagles, they also lost a starting corner to a torn ACL, Sidney Brown. So the Eagles have a lot of injuries that we haven't even mentioned. I love Baker Mayfield. I think he's a gamer. Last time he was in the playoffs, I don't know if you remember, but the Steelers were 10-0 and then really struggled down the stretch. And the Browns went in and kind of walked them on their own field. So I like Baker in the Bucs. It's at home. I'm taking Tampa. I'm not a believer. I think the Eagles are way too banged up.
On your side.
Yeah, one last note on the Bucs-Eagles game. DeAndre Swift did whatever he wanted against the Bucs when they played in Week 3 of Monday Night Football. Also, this game, Monday Night Football. So we'll see. Going to be an interesting game nonetheless. We're moving into the divisional. How we have it set up: the Browns will go to the Ravens. Ravens, the 1 seed, have to bye. Easy pick here. Ravens here. Joe Flacco's not going to go into M&T Bank Stadium. I hope it's still called that. Tough place to play.
You ever been to Cleveland?
I have been to Cleveland. It smells there.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
That's fair.
But I have been in Cleveland. I actually saw LeBron's last ever game in Cleveland, the Game 4 of 2018 Finals. But but going to Baltimore, it's going to be a great crowd there. And Lamar does not have a lot of play success, but I think he'll beat the Browns in the big divisional game.
Ravens.
Yeah, I think this would be a great story if Flacco went in and beat the Ravens, his former team. But I hate to spoil it, but I have the Ravens in my Super Bowl, so I'm picking the Ravens here.
Yep, I agree.
Next game, Chiefs at Bills. Patrick Mahomes never gone on the road in the Super Bowl, and in our scenario, hell of a way to start it. Going to Buffalo, it's going to be cold. They're used to the cold, but Buffalo fans are different. They'll be jumping on tables for the game.
Snowing.
They've been waiting for this game ever since they tied the game in 10 seconds, whatever it was. They've been waiting for this game, and I think the Bills are going to come out, and I think they'll handle the Chiefs in the divisional.
I totally agree. I only picked the Chiefs to beat the Dolphins because I really want this matchup, and I'm just telling you, I don't believe in the script and whatever. It is scripted for this game to happen. There's no way this game doesn't happen because this is the matchup, the rematch that we all want. It's going to be probably one of the most streamed games.
Most watched game of the week.
You know what I mean? So I love this, but I totally agree with what Johnny said. Bills are going to roll for the Chiefs because Josh Allen is him. That's my take.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a wild atmosphere. You mentioned the Lions being wild. I think this is going to be up there. Week 17, the Bills were their fans, Bills Mafia. It's my favorite video of 2024 so far. They were jumping on tables that were on fire.
That's all they do.
And they were still could have missed the playoffs at that point.
Yeah.
Now Bills Mafia gets to go back home.
Yeah.
and they get the Chiefs at home. I think this is going to be an all-time classic.
Yep.
I'm taking the Bills at home. No, I think they're better than the Chiefs.
So excited.
It'll be great. NFC, in our scenario, the Eagles will go to the Cowboys. Talk about a game that would be huge ratings.
Yeah.
This game would be crazy. Again, I like the Cowboys here just because they're at home. I think that if this game was played in Philadelphia, Cowboys will never ever win a big road playoff game, at least in my generation, or at least this season. But yeah, I like the Cowboys here. Just I think by this point the injuries will really catch up to the Eagles, and the Cowboys will win.
I got the Eagles. I said it earlier. I think they're going to turn it on. I think they're going to turn on for playoff football. I could be totally wrong. I agree with what Johnny says about Jalen Hurts not being a top 3 quarterback, but I think he's definitely better than some people give him credit to, or credit for, I guess. But I don't know. It's hard to jump on this Eagles train with how bad they've been playing, but they've been there, right? They've played in big games, and I think they've got enough dudes who've been there, done that, and that's why I think they're just going to turn it on and be able to flip that switch. So I have the Eagles going into Dallas for some reason and beating the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't even have the Eagles getting to this game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Cowboys. And I think if they were to play in Dallas, Dallas is a great home team. So.
Yeah, or if the Bucs were to go there, you'd pick the Bucs?
No. Pick the Cowboys.
But yeah, AFC Championship, Bills at Ravens. Lamar Jackson has not won a big-time playoff game, and he won't this year.
We forgot an NFC game.
Oh, my bad. I already penciled in the 49ers. Rams at 49ers, the third divisional game in the division that we'll have, 3 or 4. But I got the 49ers here. I just think they have too much. They're too talented.
Brock Purdy rolls.
Brock Purdy rolls.
Yeah, I got the Niners, but I think this will be a really close game. I just think the Rams are going to keep it competitive no matter who they play.
I can see that. Sean McVay's
They're
too
very
good.
well coached.
I think Sean McVay's too good to get blown out. They're playing really good ball recently. The only game they've lost is the punt return against the Ravens and Baltimore.
Crazy.
Now, back to my spiel.
Yeah,
the Bills going to the Ravens, AFC Championship. What a scene this would be. Lamar Jackson hasn't won a big-time playoff game, and I don't think he will. I just think Josh Allen is just so superbly talented, is when everything goes downhill, you need someone to make a play. Josh Allen's going to go make a play. The Bills have better skill positions. Zay Flowers being the Ravens one kind of scares me when it gets to this stage. And Lamar Jackson hasn't made a big-time throw in a big-time playoff game. And until I see that, I can't really believe it. So, by that logic, I'm not entirely confident in this, but I got the Bills going to the Super Bowl.
So on paper, I have the Ravens, but you just changed my heart.
That's what I do.
You changed my heart. It's incredible. But Bills Mafia, I think it's going to be one of the craziest stories. Obviously, we didn't even know if they were going to make the playoffs a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know.
If the Jaguars won and they would have lost the Dolphins, the Bills would not be.
And again, those are two things that were not hard to imagine. Like, it was not going to be weird for the Jags to win that game. But I agree, because of the fact is I look at this Ravens team and I've been big on them, and then I got off, but then I think I hopped back on.
Yeah.
You said it, Lamar Jackson's undoubtedly the MVP, but he just can he step up and make a big throw? Like, I don't know. I don't know. We know Josh Allen can. The reason I don't think I'm not gonna pick the Bills to ever win the Super Bowl this year is because I think Josh Allen is gonna make a mistake here and there. But I think the Bills can recover from a mistake by Josh Allen in this game against the Ravens, because I don't know how much Lamar Jackson's gonna be able to do on offense. So I like the Bills.
Yeah, this is my personal AFC championship, but when it comes down to it, it's the Ravens' style of play just wears down that Bills defense, I think. And I don't think the Bills can run the ball on the Ravens. And then when I look at the quarterback matchup, I think Lamar Jackson wins the turnover battle against a Josh Allen-led offense. So I think the Ravens win it at home. I could see the Bills having, an Eli Manning, New York Giants type run to the Super Bowl where they just somehow find a way in the playoffs and then somehow find their way in the Super Bowl and somehow win the Super Bowl.
Sure.
But I think the Ravens would win this matchup on paper.
Yeah.
So I
don't hate it. That's going to be a great game.
I like that take. I can very much see the Ravens.
When I was picking this AFC, these are all games that I am so excited to watch. Like, if say we are right, and all these games happen, which who knows? It's professional football. We could all be wrong. If these games line up, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Browns, Ravens, Bills, that's great. That's great for us. That's great for football. It's great for football fans. So super excited to see how this AFC turns out.
Yeah. In the NFC, Cowboys, 49ers. I said it before. The Cowboys haven't won a big road game in forever. They went up before the San Francisco early in the year. just got waxed. I just think this is the 49ers year. They've been so dominant all year. They went through that 3-game skid. And I said during that skid, they're still the best team in the NFL, and they've proven that. So I got the 49ers beating the Cowboys into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I have the 49ers as well. We talked about it before the season started about how good the 49ers were on paper. They somehow got better.
Yeah.
As the season went on, they not only got one piece better, they got multiple pieces better.
Chase Young
And somebody else. Remind me who else they got. They got somebody else on defense from Gregory. From
Randy
Denver.
Gregory.
I think he already got cut.
Yeah.
No, I think he's still on.
Is he still there?
He's
Whatever.
still. But again, like they just got better. Like they on paper they were the best, and then defensively they were already good, and they just got better. So I don't understand how this team is. It's like Michigan of college football. They had so many dudes this year that they knew they weren't going to have next year, possibly. So this was the year. This is the year to win it all. We don't know how many more years of professional Brock Purdy we're going to get, who's MVP race, all that stuff. I'm still not in on Brock Purdy. But this is the 49ers year, undoubtedly, for me.
Yeah, this is also my personal NFC championship, but I have the Cowboys beating the Niners. I think the Niners absolutely destroyed the Cowboys earlier in the year. I think the Cowboys are going to remember that. They're gonna watch the tape, be ready to go.
Yeah.
They're gonna figure out some ways to put themselves in an advantage in that game. I think this Cowboys defense is very similar to the Ravens defense, and the Ravens defense just really gave Brock Purdy a hard time. So for that, I like the Cowboys defense giving Purdy some fits. I think Dak Prescott is finally going to win a big game, and I also think that we just saw Michigan, that kind of classical program that nobody outside of their fans really likes. Cowboys, you kind of make the same case. I think maybe it's the Cowboys' year too, just like Michigan. So
Yeah.
Anyway, Super Bowl. One more note of that. Feed me Kyle Shanahan over Mike McCarthy every day of the week, and especially twice on whenever this game is played.
Yeah.
49ers we got 49ers Bills. That's a podcast. I know Tanner has a completely different Super Bowl than us, but 49ers Bills. I said it before. It's the 49ers year. I think this is a game, if it's not the AFC Championship, where Josh Allen's turnovers will get the better of him. I got the 49ers avenging that 2019 loss to the Chiefs and winning Super Bowl.
Yep. 49ers for me. I totally agree.
I would take the Niners, but I'm just going to switch up and go Bills. Because honestly, I could see Josh Allen having that Eli Manning run, just like Manning did with the Giants, where they somehow get in and win a Super Bowl.
They're good enough to do it. It wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah.
Right? See, backyard band Super Bowl pick, though, is the 49ers.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Very okay.
It's very basic.
Yeah,
it is basic, but whatever.
Should've picked, like, the Steelers or
Some few NBA notes before we wrap up. John Morant out for the year. Was averaging over 25 a game in the 9 games he was there. Got Torres Labrum out for the year. OG Anunoby got traded from the Raptors to the Knicks. I think the Knicks gave up a lot, man. They gave up a lot. Gave up a lot for OG. Gave up RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly.
Is that your Labrum?
Two pretty big pieces. You guys are funny. Personally, my team, Paolo Banchero, should be an all-star. He's been unreal. In a game against the defending champions in Denver, the Magic had 7 available players. Paolo had a 40-point triple-double and won them the game. He's been money this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tanner, go a little update on college basketball before we get out of here.
Yeah, so Purdue is hanging on to the 1 spot. Big win over Illinois. At Mackey, I think Edey only played like 18 minutes, so anytime you can win a game with the National Player of the Year off the floor, you take that, especially against a very good Illinois team who's also down a man. So, Purdue's got a tough one.
Ever given Illinois a compliment.
I think Illinois is a very good team.
Clip it.
Purdue has a very tough one tonight, in my opinion. I am not excited for this game. I think it's going to be a tough one at Nebraska. Nebraska's playing good ball. Purdue has never played well there. I think we've won every time we play there, but we've never played good ball. So very nervous for tonight.
He's been talking about Purdue losing this game the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Nebraska's not even getting votes. Purdue's going to roll through this game. I know you're scared. I think you're more scared because they're the number 1 team, and losing to Nebraska, you already lost to Northwestern. You're like, you do not want that to happen.
No, I also see the signs through because Purdue opened a 1-point favorite, and now they're 6-point favorites. And then Northwestern lost. We were 6-point road favorites. So
I think you're 7 now, by the way.
I think it could be 7, but I'm very nervous. Outside of that, I think Tennessee is absolutely rolling.
They just rolled.
Shout out to them. So
rolled Ole Miss. Kentucky also went to Florida, got a big win.
Yeah.
Marquette, a big loss to Seton Hall.
Who should be ranked?
Yeah,
100%.
we'll see. The Big East is crazy. Duke has kind of bounced back from an early season slump. They beat Baylor and a few other decent teams, but
Illinois, just one comment. Their 3 losses this year are Purdue, Marquette, and Tennessee.
Three pretty good losses.
If you look at that, I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
I wish we would have won one of those 3 because the only good team we've really beat this year was FAU, and we all know
they're okay.
Mediocre at best. But we did beat Fairleigh Dickinson. Just wanted to throw that jab in there, but we beat them by 40.
Tournament.
Those 3 Illinois losses produced 3-0 against.
You're right. Fairleigh Dickinson.
They could go both ways, but one's a little bit more painful.
Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. We got really big things coming, a big guest coming on the next episode, so please stick around for that. That'll come out on Friday, and just more big things to come. And if you made it all the way, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Peace.